Okay, welcome to this recording. We're going to have a look at a bit now how to create some structure in our code, and we're going to have a look at a pretty simple game to start with, and see if we can get our mind around how this game is actually going to work. So what we want to do to get going is have a think about our game and actually plan it a bit ahead rather than just crashing into writing the code. So our game is going to be quite simple. It's going to ask us some maths questions, and if we think about what our game's likely to want to do, well, like all things, it probably wants us initially to do some kind of welcome message and possibly some instructions. So we need some code to do that. And if we think what the next part of the program is going to do, our program probably next is going to have to actually run the quiz and ask the questions. So I'm just going to say run the quiz, and when we run the quiz it's going to ask us questions, and presumably from that it's going to give us a score. So we'll get a mark out of 10 maybe, and this score that we're then going to have to find, we're going to have to feed back into some code that maybe will actually print the results for us. Okay, so that's our plan. Our program, rather than chuck it all into one bit of code, is going to have something that does a welcome, something that actually runs the quiz, and when we run the quiz it's going to generate us a score, and we need to send that score into our print results so it can print as a suitable message depending upon what we've got. And this idea is decomposition. It's breaking the whole concept of what our program does into, in this case, fairly simple, 3 simple blocks, so we can concentrate on each of these blocks. And that's what we're going to do now from our coding perspective. Look at how to do that. So we've got our Python shell window. Let's start with a new file and see how we're going to go and how we're going to progress from here. So let's have a think about how to actually lay this out. So when I want to create a block of code that sits alone and does a particular thing, I'm essentially creating my own function. And we've looked at things like the print function already, so we know we can call the print function and it goes away and does something, and somebody's already written that for us. When we want to display our own function though, so use our own function, we have to define our own function, and the syntax to define your own function is def for define. You can see it's gone orange straight away, and we give it whatever name we want. So ours is going to be to print our welcome message, so I'm going to call my function print welcome, and like all functions it needs parentheses after it and a colon. So this is the way we define them. We know it's a function because it's got open and close parentheses. We know it's a definition of a function in this case, so we're not actually running it here, we're defining what it means. And the colon, if you remember the colon from our for next loop and in earlier exercises, this indicates that a block of code is about to follow. So when we hit return, you'll see the cursor's indented straight away, so all these indented lines now form part of this function. Remember, that's the way we block code together. And what's our welcome going to do? It's going to say maybe something like print welcome to the maths quiz, or whatever quiz you want to write. So it's going to say welcome to the maths quiz. That looks like it's going okay, and we'll print how good do you think you are? Question mark. Now we've got to be careful because we've asked a question mark. The users might think that they've got to type something in at that point, so they might be getting ready to do an input at that point. So what we'll do is we'll make sure they don't think that, because then we'll put a get ready. statement. Now, would help if I could spell ready. Okay, so we've got these three statements now as part of this print welcome, and you might think, gosh, this seems to have confused things because I've now defined a function called print welcome and it does this. Why don't I just use those 3 lines in my main program? That would make much more sense. Well, in this case, our print welcome is quite simple. It's just doing some fairly straightforward things. But if we think about our main program now, so our main program is going to be up here at the top, and here we're going to say print welcome. So we're actually going to call the function at this point. Okay, so our program comes down, it's got the print welcome call of the function here, so we're using our user defined function, and this is our definition of it. And you might think, well, hang on, why don't we just put these 3 lines up here? Why do we have this call to a function? Well, in our case, because it's so simple, it does seem a bit over the top, but clearly this function could be more complicated than just printing the welcome. It might go away and do some initialization. It could do loads of other things, and what we're able to do is we're able to wrap all of those up into one simple idea. So we've decomposed the whole problem into sub-ideas, and this one idea of just printing the welcome now, when we then further break that down, contains lots of little bits of code. But in our main code, when you're reading this, you think, oh, print welcome, I wonder what that does. Well, you don't know the detail of what it does, but you've got a good idea about how it's going to work. So let's just test our first bit of code and see if that works. So I've already saved this as untitled because I've been playing before. I don't know, maybe I haven't, I can't remember. Let's just run it and see what happens. Source must be saved. I'm just going to save it on the desktop as untitled at the moment. I've got an untitled one there. Or temp, I'm going to call it. So I'm playing with this. So there's our code, and oh, it's failed. Damn. So let's have a look at the error. Let's see if we can. It says here print welcome is not defined. Okay, that's quite interesting because I'm pretty sure I just defined print welcome. So let's go and look at the code. So here's our definition of print welcome. So it certainly is defined. But up here, when it tried to run the code, we can just check where it failed. Notice it failed here on line 3. Where's line 3? If we click on the print welcome, you'll see down here at the bottom right, you're on line 3. So it failed here. Well, hang on, how could it have failed? Because here we're telling it to call the function print welcome, and we've defined the function down here. So it seems to be a bit ridiculous. Well, remember, Python, as we said when we started, is an interpreted language, which means as we send this file, this script file, this Python script to the Python interpreter, what it does is it scans it a line at a time. So it comes down here and goes blank line, oh, call to print welcome, I don't know anything about print welcome, and it fails. Why? Because it hasn't got to these lower lines yet. This definition of print actually comes after our call to it, which means when we first called it up here, we haven't seen this yet. Hopefully you get that idea. So simple solution. Let's just cut that out from there and let's put it in after the definition. So the program should come down now and define print. Remember, this isn't running it. It's not actually doing the code at this point. It defines print and then print welcome, and then it gets down here and it calls the function print welcome. So if we run that, great, it actually worked. Welcome to the math quiz. So that would seem to be the answer clearly to our problems. We just have to put all the definitions at the top and run the code at the bottom. Now it's okay that, but when you look at a script, you don't really want to have to scroll all the way to the bottom to find where the main program is. It seems to be a bit kind of upside down, really. What you really want to do is do it the other way around. Really, we do want this print welcome up at the top because this is our main bit of code. So we're going to put it back up there. But then we're back to the problem that we just started with. Before we run print welcome, we have to define it, and it's now in the wrong order. So what we actually do to overcome this, and for other reasons as well, is we always define a function called main. And we put that at the top. And in our main function, we call all the other functions that we want. and it's a definition of main here, so it will come and define main. Say, right, I've got to define main. I'm going to call a function called print welcome. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm not running it, so I'm not so worried. I know that hopefully I'm going to find out in a bit what it is. So I'll make a note that I need to find out print welcome, and it will go on. It will then find the definition of print welcome, so it does that. And what do we do at the bottom? We just call our main function. So to reiterate that, what happens? It comes in at the top, it defines a function called main, and you'll see this is our call to all our other functions. And this really should be the essence of our program, just a series of function calls. We then have the detail of all the functions underneath and what they do, and at the very bottom of our program we just have a call to main, which is our main function back up here, and that runs. Now it doesn't have to be called main, you can call it what you want, but convention says in Python we always have a call to main at the end, and our first function in our list is called main, where our main program effectively runs. So let's run that and check that that's going to work. Excellent. So that certainly seems to have worked for us fine there. It's done our welcome message. So hopefully you've got the essence of how we structure programs. We create separate functions decomposed from our overall idea using some form of kind of block coding or flowcharts or whatever you want, and that keeps all our ideas together. And then from a function called main we make calls to all of our other ones. So if you think back to where we started, we said after we'd printed our welcome message, the next thing we needed to do was run the quiz. So I'm going to put a function call in called run quiz. I haven't written the function yet. And we need a function probably to print the results. And that's a function call. And that's the essence of it. Our main program, if we want to know what it does, it prints a welcome, it runs the quiz, and it prints the results. It's pretty straightforward. And if we want to know more about what any of these functions are, then we can go and look at the definitions. Now, if you remember when we talked about the run quiz function, we said you're going to score something, presumably a mark out of 10, and we want the function to return that to our main program. So remember, we've looked at what you do when a function returns a value. We just need to assign it to a variable. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say score is assign the return value from the run quiz function. So run quiz will go away and run. When we write it, we need to make sure it returns the mark that the person got out of 10, and that will be put into the variable score. And then when we come to print the results, what do? Well, the print results function needs to know what score you got so it can say some appropriate words. So we pass that in as an argument to the print results function. Does the print results function give us anything back? Well, no, probably not. I can't think what a print results function would send back to us. It's got all the information it needs. So the next bit that we need to look at is how we actually write these bits of code to do our run quiz and our print results. So thanks for watching this introductory video.